name is Ute Ellwein. I introduced, I'm a food advisor working at the Landratsamt Karlsruhe. It's an official station. And before you're gonna be sleeping, I put here my email address in. So if you have any questions later, just send me an email and I will glad to be to answer you. I'm also the chief of all the guys, about 55 persons working at Food Advisor in Baden-Württemberg. So if I can't answer the question, I'm sure one of my colleagues will do it. The presentation is parted in 3 parts. We start with the traditional, the big trees in the landscape, what we call Streuobst. And then we go a little bit in the future. That's maybe the most interesting for you, the breeding of the resistant apples and the testing of the breeding plums. And then the innovative, what I like most, what's my job was the reducing of the pesticides, where we have new systems and we have an innovative producing thing. So, yeah. This is Germany, you all know, and this little part is not the Gallians, it's Baden-Württemberg, we call the Swabian, and I want to show you a little bit of this to get more understanding for the region we are talking about. We have the 2 main parts where we don't have the food production. It's the highest part, it's the Schwarzwald, everybody knows, the Black Forest, and we have the Schwäbische Alb. No, people don't know it so well, but it's real with some high hills. About 1,000 meters. The most growing parts of Germany is here the zone of the Rhine. It's real sunny region. We have a lot of wine and fruits. And then we have here a real big part where some rivers are growing through. And we have, this is real productive. And the people can earn money because we have the big towns here. It's Stuttgart, it's our main city. And you all know the Lake Constance, the Bodensee, where we have a lot of apple production. Also, we have this region where we are going to work now in thoughts, which is on the part of these highest trees. Where the center we are talking today is Reutlingen, Landkreis Reutlingen. And we're talking about Weinsberg, that's there, and Karlsruhe, that's the 3rd part where I have the experimental station. Also, we have the breeding of the apple and a little bit of pear here with Dr. Roos in Weinsberg, that's here, the location. And we have the big plum breeder head there, 10 years he's now in America. Dr. Hartmann, he made the plum production. And now we have a private breeder of cherries around the Lake Constance, named Peter Stoppel. What we are talking now and what we'd like to visit is the museum of what Eduard Lucas founded 1816. He was one of the first pioneers in fruit growing, going out of the churches, the little gardens, into a kind of production. He founded it 1862, and here's a picture with him and his family. He only had daughters. I guess he wished he had a son to make it more. And he and his two friends, they made a real big collection of a lot of varieties. He get them together. He had big trees, and he also collected varieties from all over the world to make testing how we can produce it here in this part of Germany.
Ute, I'm very sorry to interrupt you, but I lost you.
You lost me?
So yes, I lost you. Can you please share again? I can't see you.
Do I have to close? What do you think?
No, just to make sure. Can everybody else see you and the presentation? Yes. Because I can't. Okay, very good. Then it's just me, apparently. All right, thank you. Then continue, please.
Yeah. So everybody hear me?
Yeah, you are back. Perfect.
Okay.
Yes.
You see that line?
Sorry about the inconvenience.
And see you.
Okay. Okay. Good. So it's mostly men working here. They crafted this tree with a lot of varieties. That's what this picture should show. And 2 years later, after founding, he had the first presentation, and they have no photographs there. So these are pictures they still keep made from stereoscope. I don't know what that is, but that must be a part like we have now pictures made. That was the first presentations of his collection, and I don't know how many varieties it was, but it looks like a lot. And the same cellar, like Eduard Lucas did it now, the colleagues also did it now. This is the same cellar, but it's a picture from now, with also some varieties, not so much. These are the varieties they have now found and still on trees outside. Here you see the difference, the big variety in it. And this is one of the first pictures which Eduard Lucas made, where he puts the different kind of apples together. Here, I don't know if you see my cursor. You see the cursor? No? So
yes,
yes,
okay. You can see the cursor.
Right on the top, we have an apple looks like an egg. So he said that's the egg fruits, and then he had this long one, looks also like an egg, but it has the stripes. They call it Luiken. And they have the big one, mostly tripolete, they call the Rambour. So the apples and the varieties had no real name. He just make a classification, some classes where he puts a lot of varieties in. Here we also have this. This is the Luiken with that stripes. That's a lot of different varieties, but also looking the same. And when we have the still named varieties they had on that time too, it's the Boskop and the Berner Rosenapfel, which we're still producing now. They think Dr. Silbereisen from the KOB, one of our specialists, he thought it's about nearly 80,000 apple varieties what we have worldwide, and each time we put a seed in the ground, we get a new one. So the systematical breeding started 1900 about, but in USA and Great Britain, and in Germany it starts later. And now our breeding programs, we have the most official center in Dresden. We have Mirko Pilnitz, Mirko Schuster, he made in Pilnitz the cherries. And we have apple and pear breeding there too. And then the apple breeding in Weinsberg, what I tell you later. Here are some pears, what we can still find in the region of Reutlingen, and still some variety we have now. We have the Conference, we have the Xenia now, the November, a new one. We have here the Gerbold, and we also have the old varieties, what we call Mostbirnen. I don't know another name in English. It's the big trees we see later with the little small fruits, what they take in former times to make their apple cider, their pear cider, or mixed with the apples. Here's the same poster from Eduard Lucas, also with classification of the pears, the small one, the real astrigation one, and the one you can eat, one you can try, one more for cooking. That was the classification he made. Then he also collected cherries. We often forget that because apple is the dominant culture what we have in food production. But there was a great variety in cherries in former time. Now we lose it a little bit. We get new varieties on it. But these old one, it was real a science to make the difference between all these varieties. The yellow one we can't find today. Really, it's rare to have them. We have some Rainier, but in Germany we lost it mostly. The people want the dark one, the light one, the yellow one they get. It's bad to transport. So this is just a some names of a lot of these varieties, and they try to keep them alive. They build a Kirschenweg, a cherry path, where people can walk through, and along this path they planted all these varieties what they still can find. So and then they make signs on it so the people will see what variety they're still alive. One of the special varieties of the cherries they found is in this region they call the Armstaler Knorpelkirsche. Armstal, that's the valley here, it's the Armstal, and this cherry was typical for this region. And that's a funny thing because from this local variety they make some special liquor, they make a special juice only from this Armstaler Knorpelkirsche, and the best one for the children, they make also the fruit gummies, the gummy bears, and they are made from the cherry juice. So it's a part to keep these varieties alive. Here is a collection of the fruits of the varieties we still have, we could find in the region. This is a local variety, Glemser Langstiel, the pear, or here the Reutlinger Streifling, also a variety just they found in this region. When Edward Lucas, it was 200 years ago, they make a big they show a lot of varieties. I guess it was over 500. Here I have the number. It's 580 varieties they could show in this year, and that was real lucky because 2017 we had a frost and there were no apples on the tree on this year, so they were lucky that the expedition was on 2016. A lot of people came, a lot of people want to know from the expert what variety do I have in my garden, and sometimes they find a new one what they don't have noted. Here are some of these local varieties I wanted to show you on the trees, so you have to look on this way, and still they are trying to get more of these varieties to keep the genes alive. The colleagues working in Reutlingen, they are very involved in that and make have found partner to finance this, and builds an app that people can go to their place and make a picture and make the GPS saying, here is a tree, this tree had this kind of apples, and then they can put their names on, the date, and what is it, what apple or pear, do you know the variety, does somebody, an expert, explain what that was, how healthy is the tree, is he going to die, do we have to craft him to save it, how old is he, and where it stands. And that's, they found some of new varieties they hadn't known, especially one called Christians Apfel, also Christians apple. That's the Kobe name. There are three Pomologs don't know him, so they think it's a variety by her own. And the special is that the blooming is later than our latest apple tree we have, and that will be in years of frost. He was the only one who had some apples. So we try to keep these genes and put them by breeding in the new varieties. So the facet of this is that we have to keep our traditional fruits, we have to keep this biodiversity because we need these genes for later. And with this expeditions like that, we can get the people which have no interest normally in food production and get them involved. To show you a little bit of the region, I just take a picture from above. what we call Streuobst, are parts like that in the yellow ring. These are regions, they are lightly going up here on the hill, and we have big trees and small trees and separated. That's not everything process the same mode. One is mowed 3 times, one only 1, some 5 times, and that makes it so good for the insects and for the birds. And it's also no problem that we have intensive orchards right in the neighborhood. See, there's the intensive, and here is a mixture. Up here, cherry trees next to apple trees, next to plum trees, and then here another orchard of cherries, big trees and smaller one. So all this mixture that makes the world from this landscape. So I really like to invite you, if the times are better and you have time, just call me. We make a little tour then. About the things are growing there. The most part of this Streuobstfläche of this traditional way is the apple. Then the next are the cherries, and the most plums and pears. And we have a little bit of walnut, but that's going to be getting more and more, because we have less and less people which want to earn the fruits from the ground. So we now look a little bit at the museum. This is the museum where they put it. Here we have a tree with a different stem, 4 parts of stem. This is the stem of a plum. Here's the stem of a cherry. Maybe you see it with the stripe, and pear and apple. So the people would see that, because there's a lot of people that don't know the difference to see a tree in the landscape, what it will be. Then they show the types of crafting with the traditional knives and things, what they're working. For phytosanitary, the old one, that's all used in the 20 till 60 years. Now we are much more fortunate, but that's the way they worked, and it don't works about plant protection. We have to tell this to people too. So here you see, that's your group. We should walk there, and we would taste some cherries, because our first cherries are ripening right at the moment. This is one of the landscape building pear trees. They look like oaks, not beside the blooming. And some pears you can eat, but the most are only for juice or for cooking. You see that in the first year they are gonna be pruned, but later on they are so high you can't prune them anymore. And you see here another one, and here beside is one, and there's an apple and the plum. So it's all a mixture of this all. On some typical trees, they mark it with the number, so the people named it and see what they need, what kind of fruit it is, what is the name, and what can they do with them. So we're going now to the apples, and here is going the way we could walk and join this landscape. They make films to show the people how to make the juice, and so we just show you a little bit of this. This is a krügle, we call in our dialect. That's normally the way the people go into the cellar, and that's the portion for the fortune for the father for the evening to rest and keep for the next day. There's the old traditional thing what they harvest. These are the bags for the cherries. With the bag, they go up to the ladder and harvest the cherries. And you see also in this one where they transport it home, it's also for the babies when they are still small, but they use it for everything. Then the apples goes inside there, just make it smaller, then into the press. Yeah, that's handmade, it's traditional. And then the most efficient, we put the juice. And the juice is the first day, it's for the children. Then the second till 3 days, it's gonna rise and get a little bit more alcohol. It's very good. And then it goes down into the cellar in the Mostfass, in the barrels. Yeah, that's how they say in here, a collection of these Krügel. And then he stays here half a year, 30 year. So normally it's empty when the new one get in. And a lot of families, everybody has his own most. That's the cider. And everybody said mine is the best. So you see here different varieties. Each one is a different kind from a different seller and producer, and they all taste a little bit different. You see it in the color. Sometimes they know it's only one variety they take, but mostly it's a mixture. And they make a quality testing of these most. You see here a lot of bottles and a lot of people, and they will test it. It's something special. So here are the experts. On that evening, they have to taste about 25 different Moste ciders, and they are not all good. But for the people, it's a spectacle. There are a lot of people.
Hello?
Yeah? Yeah? Some questions? No? Is it okay?
No, please go ahead. It was just a call for somebody else. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay. Good. So
yeah. Go ahead, please. Thank you.
No. Okay. Good. So I just go on. So if a question, just tell me. So we go on. The people. Yeah. They are all trying to do that most, and they are waiting. Here's the jury till they get it finished. That was the first part, and I want to go now to Mr. Ruiz and Weinsberg, where he make the breeding. Are there any questions right now to that Streuobstbau? No?
All right. If you would like to have a question, please raise your hand in the tool.
No?
All right.
Okay.
I don't see any questions, please, so we can go ahead, I think.
Yeah. Okay. So I just go on. This is.
Sorry, I was wrong. Sorry, Ute, I was wrong. Francois, I would like to ask something. Just a moment, from Francois Barlow from Grab France. Francois, go ahead.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay. I had a question, but I don't know if it's the right time to ask for them. But questions. One question about: do you have any data about the susceptibility of these cultivars to pest and disease you have in your region? And do you make this information available to growers? And more precise question about the Drosophila Suzuki for cherry. Can you make any interesting observation for all the cherry cultivars that would be less susceptible to Drosophila Suzuki?
Okay. The last I understand well. The first I'm not sure. You wanted to know if there's a summary of all the varieties they found in the region of Reutlingen?
Not exactly. My first question was to know if you are having observations on the susceptibilities of all the land races to pest and disease. That means, do you know if some land races are less susceptible to some pest and disease that would be interested for organic farmers?
Yeah. We do that, and we have a project where they take some of them. That's come now later. And about the cherries, there are no resistance against the Drosophila Suzuki. They marked all this about the 60 cherry varieties, and they make they write down if they get if they bloom early, if they get a lot of diseases. These things are all marked down. about the regional apple varieties, we can say that sometimes it's not true what is written. In some region, in higher region, there are varieties, they get no scrap, they get no mildew, but in the other regions, in the Rhine Valley, they get a lot, or they get a lot of fire blight or something else. So Franz Roos, what I tell now, he put a lot of dates together, and he only found 3 till 5 varieties which are really well enough to make crossings with this. So they are not so resistant as we expected. Is that okay now for you?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, okay. So thank you for your question, and I try to go on. So we're talking now about Weinsberg. We changed the place, and Weinsberg, he make the trials and the breeding. They make a lot of things, but I just want to tell you something about this breeding. These foils I've put from a speech he made in Österreich, in Austria 17. And it goes about the resistance and the breeding and the apple program, and that I want to show you something about this. No? Okay. He made a trial to put apple, to produce apple without a fungicide, because I guess that's for the organic producer the most interest. And we had a lot of these varieties we call resistant. They get mildew, or some, get sharp. We have some varieties, they are real good, but the people don't accept it. They want to buy it. They want the regular varieties to buy. With the scrap, we have the problem with the resistance based on we need a resistance on polygen, not only a singular on VF or VL resistant. That's the problem, because meanwhile we have about 16 races of scrap, and 6 and 7, the races, they get over the VF resistance, and that makes the problem with the Gold Rush or Topaz. They lose their resistance against the scrap, and all crossings were Golden Delicious or the VF resistances, we are afraid that they lose it because we get this race 6 or 7 of the scrap. I guess the scrap, the most of you know, if we have a resistant reaction, then the leaf shows a lot, a little bit of like you put a needle in it, but the cells beside falls down, they die, so the scrap can't work more. He worked a lot of this resistance. Where does this resistance comes from? It's from nature. Was his what he get from. We had the monogene resistance, and we had the polygene resistance, and there are, with this varieties we try to breed more. And there are also some European Streuobst varieties on it, maybe the Champagner Renette or the Bagnanger Sonnenwurzapfel. There are some variety, but it's not so much that we thought. It's about 5 varieties. They are really resistant. They have no special gene. They have the resistance inside, and they try to cross with this. Against the apple mildew, we have one old variety, not from our region, a little bit more. That's the Dürmer Rosenapfel, and he has a resistance against the apple mildew. And then we also had, from the new varieties, a resistance against the fire blight. That's Enterprise and Revena. And with these 2 varieties, we make further the breeding to put that together. Here are some of these varieties, this old variety, wild varieties, where they get the genes found, and from this all we need to make a mixture together and makes the crossings with this. Here is one part, like it begins with the crossing of this scrap-resistant gene, and we are now at the 10th generation. Topaz was getting in Czechoslovakia in 1990. It was one of the first best one. And we had Santana still now, we had the Colina, and it goes on and on. And with these varieties on this, he is making the crossing right now. I guess that's too much. I just to change a little bit. He made crossings with wild varieties, and he made crossing with these old varieties. One of them was Prinz Albrecht, one Cardinal Bea, and one the Champagner Renate, and the Sonnenwurzapfel. And the Sonnenwurzapfel is one of them we hope the most too. He made the partner of this was Flavia. This was one of his varieties he made from crossings before. And what they found out is that they don't get so many seeds from this crossing. If they have 20, I take this example, they had about 128 seeds from the crossing, and from that he only gets 72 plants, and only 14 plants was without an infection of scrub. So that's what about 10% from the Cardinal Bea crossing. It was more bad. He had 278 seeds. That sounds good, but only 130 plants from it, and it only 10 had nothing. So just in the first year when they grow up, he got a suspicion with the scrap over it, and the one who has the fern sign all will be eliminated. So it's not so good as he thought. Also in the next, without anything, we had more results, better results with the wild varieties like than with the old varieties we found there. If you are involved with the breeding system, I think you know how long it takes to get from the crossing to get a new variety. We count about 20 years for the apple, and for the peer breeding for cherries and plums it's a little bit more earlier because they are better growing, but it needs a lot of time, and only then when we have the new variety we have to put them in the experimentation station, so we can look if they are possible to grow. Do they storaging, is the food quality okay? So there are a lot of testing what we will need. He has the one variety of his breeding was this variety called Yukunda, and he crossed that with a very good variety like Cox, she calls Elise, and he make crossings with this. And the varieties real change. From the same crossing you get a lot of different things. One of the crossings he had really good variety which are now sold is the variety Crisp. He named them Crisp, and she has two resistance. And here is a little bit of description of his new variety. He was the breeder, and he has early blooming, a real good tree, and the ripening is end of July in our region. It looks good. It's a little bit a small apple. We have to thin a lot, and he has this double scrap resistant, less of mildew, and a real intensive green leaves. So that's a perfect variety for bio or for the organic, or in the gardens for the people. Also, he makes the breeding with the cultivar. that's one of his passions, so he had a lot of this. And all of the cultivars, the columnar goes back to McIntosh tip, was found in USA in an orchard, and all these crossings make it with this genome from McIntosh. This columnar is typical that they only make a little. They don't make a lot of axis. They only have a little short part, and then they make the blooming. So in the best, if we are real lucky, we have it all inside of the stem, and the people hope that we don't have to cut them. We don't need somebody to hold them because the idionotium are so short that the stem will get bigger and bigger and no branches. What we need is a strong rootstock. Here we have the rootstock M25, that's nearly a seedling, and here he has another variety on M26, that's a little bit more than to M9, so that's too weak. The tree can't have enough heat for all of his fruits. We need more, a better rootstock. Here Franz Roos made a trial with trying to don't cut the trees. If you don't cut them, he makes branches, and branches are long, and the fruits inside don't get sun enough, and the quality is not good. So we have to cut them, but we can cut it all very, very short. You see it here, only just short branches. That's what is his variety. He said it's a very good fruit, but you can't keep him real long. The storage is not good. He's scrap resistant, get a little bit of mildew, and the problem with him is that he has the alternation. He had 1 year and the other year he don't have. So that's only for the garden, for the people at home. It's nothing for the production. We go further there because the time is running. We are looking also for varieties for the distillation. In Germany is that still a part, and the using of the big of the pears on these big trees, which we want to keep in the landscape, we can make a good distillate from it. Schnapps, we call it schnapps. And one of the favorite of this is the Champagner Bratbirne, you maybe know, or the Wilde Eierbirne, the wild egg pear. It really looks like that. And when she falls down off the tree, you have to collect her and make it directly because she's not storable. But the tree is real healthy, and you can put it on higher level or on the flat one, even both. So Franz Roos made a lot of variety testing, and he also made his book. So if you want more information, we have to do it that way. I looked on my clock. It's now only 10 minutes, so I go on now with the third part. The variety testing and the trials we make at Karlsruhe. I hope that's okay this way, or do you have directly questions to the breeding of Franz Roos?
Thank you very much, Ute, for this part of the presentation. Please raise your hand if you would like to have questions about the breeding section of the presentation. All right, if not, I see no hands. So
yeah, so
yeah, just go on.
Time is going on. So we have here about 80 varieties at one time. That's a little bit older. Showing from the orchard. We have on this orchard, about 130 cherry varieties in testing, and normally they look all the same, but there's a great difference between them. The most of the testing are the new varieties. We don't have the old one. They are too small. we can't sell them. They are too soft. Nobody on the market will take them. It's only for the little small garden. The Hedelfinger was one of the important varieties in the 20 till 50th years, and we still had it in the 70s. But now we have the big varieties like Carmen. She has over 30 millimeters. Yeah, 30 millimeters. That's what the customers want, and we have to produce what the customers wants to buy. This was the size of a normal cherry, what we found in the landscape, but now we have this cherry size over the 10 we needed for more production. And also it's money. As bigger the cherry, as less you need for a kilo, and as quicker you in the harvest. So we also have to take that. This will be a size over 30, 32, what we need. This is the experimental station Augustenberg near Karlsruhe. It's about 15 hectares, and we have here trial variety testing about 700 varieties. We make that variety testing. We're testing the rootstocks and the systems of growing, and we have also a lot of plant protection testing in this orchard altogether. I want to tell you a little bit of the cherries and the plums. It's about 130 cherries and 110 plums now, what we are trying. I stay with this variety Carmen. You just know that. It's one of the biggest. And what we are testing is the systems. Normally the cherries are made as spindle, one X, and a lot of branches. And we had a difference between the stems about 5 meters. We need that because we have to drive through. What we are trying is to make more narrow rows, and we try to keep the cherries here in one way. Längsspindel is what we call it. And we try the UFO system, where we lay down the eggs and work about the branches going upstairs. Here is how it looks when there are cherries on it. And that goes back to Matthew Whiting. He made that in Washington State University in USA. That's the way he planted, and he said he wanted to harvest all the cherries from the ground. It's not possible in our way, so we changed it a little bit. We make the first the knick of the trees about 80 centimeters, and from that on we make it the branches going up. We lose 1 or 2 years because it needs more time to get up. That's the second year and the third year, and then we have the first yield. What you are needing is the something to hold, the spalier, and we need the wire to keep it. And we normally need a roof to protect the cherries. So this is the kind of UFO system what we are using. We have 20 to 30 centimeters between the branches, and the aim is to get the cherries like that, but that's, you see, that's a fake. But we get it nearly like that. And what we wanted to do is to save a little bit of time with pruning. So we want a narrow wall, a fruit wall. This is about 45 centimeters. So this is the aim, to keep here all the safe. And the best we can do is with a machine. So we don't cut them branches all by hand. We just drive through with the meshing, and that's after cutting. You see, it looks like a hedge, and that's we're doing now the 10th year, and we have real good results. After the pruning, we had a short thing going up, and this is now the Carmen. When you see the pruning last year, the pruning this year, so we go on that way. Moment. I just want to show you how that works. Okay. No. Oh, 9. I'm sorry, I want to show you the meshing, but it don't work. The big thing is that we have easy harvesting We cut before the fruits, and then after 3 weeks or 4 weeks, the fruits are ripening and they are well seen, and the harvest is real easier. Another system, besides the UFO and the spindle, we make it with another variety, the cordia. I just show you, I go over that, we have no more time. The aim is really to get a small fruit wall so we can make the rows narrower together. Another thing to do is the SSA, the super spindle X. That's propagated from Italy. They normally go to 50 centimeters. We make the trials with 1 meter. I guess that's enough. But this is the real system. You see here 1 tree after the other. So it's only 1 X which you cut each year very short. So you have the biggest fruits, only less fruit, but they are big. It's for maybe 44 centimeters, 40 millimeters of the fruits. And it's easy to harvest because you've seen it very, very good. I go over that. One of the good things of the small fruit wall is that we can make the thinning mechanical, but for everything we need the machines. We need the pruning machine, we need the thinning machine, and we also need something to go higher up. I just change now to the plums because I want to show you something new about that. We also had a lot of varieties because we had that breeder in Stuttgart, Dr. Hartmann, and we had about 130 variety testing. Now it's about 110, and it's getting less and less each year. What we are trying to do is to change the system. Normally we have the small trees, which we can all harvest from ground, and now we make also the fruit walls with the plums. When you have a small tree, you don't have to get up. You can harvest everything from the ground, and you can get a big yield from these trees, but you need a lot of time for pruning. About 1 tree, you need about 10 minutes, and we want to save here a little bit of this pruning time. We also do that by machine. This is our machine that's built from a technical in our region. And I try if this function, yeah. It's like a gable stapler. I don't know if that's the word. We can put this up, and we have 2 knives, one long one with 2.5 meters, and a short one, which is now here pruning the trees inside. This is about mid of June where we do that. We start now, I guess, the next week. And then we put all the 1 year and the prior branches we eliminate so that we get more sun into the trees and we have an easier harvest. Here you will see it from outside. So this little knife goes inside of the trees. It's not perfect, but it was one possibility. But you see how many branches we have. And if you are harvesting, you really have to look for the plums, and the one inside don't get so much sun, and the quality is not so good. So what we want is a small, narrow hedge where we can good harvest and we can cut it by machine. We make it like a fächer with 3 branches, one in the top and 2 beside, and this is how it goes each year. We have it now. It's the eldest orchard is about 10 years now, and we make new systems now too. You see, all fruits are well to see. I try this again. Ah, yeah, this is function. So it's the same like we do in the cherries. We have this machine, and this fruit wall is about 4 meters. 360 is the fruit wall of the plums. And he just cut here the 1-year-old branches, or this year branches, they go inside and just cut it away. So the only thing we have to do by hand is go between the branches to eliminate the branches between. After the pruning, we have a little short after it. And on this we have again more blooming for the next year. On this part, we have the buds with the blooms for the next year, and that's one of the what we like very good. And you see the harvest is good, and we have a real narrow ball, so we can cook about the distance between the rows with the plums, I guess about 350. And it's good to put them in to keep the Suzuki away. That's for the single row. You put that, could single on it, and that's even worth to do it with the plums, because they are normally not so high priced as the cherry. So this is after the pruning, where a new branch is coming with the yield of the next year. So I show you some pictures of that, and just how much we can harvest. This is the variety Top Taste. I guess that's for the organic too, and we can really have a good harvest. You see here on the different levels where we can work. You just can't go in. You don't have to look for them. You see them. You can harvest in a short time. And the main of the production is this in the site where the people are working. So, and this is our last testing, and I will end now. We also make the UFO with the plums. We put one branches and we lay the eggs and put the branches on top. And this is now the third year we can yield. We can harvest. It looks very good this year. So if somebody has time to come by in August, you will see our fruit pots. And I thank you for your interest. I hope that was okay for me. It was very exciting. And thank you very much for your attention.
Well, thank you very much for the colorful presentation. I would like to open the floor for questions on any of the sessions that we saw, any of the three topics, either on the orchard or the museum or the breeding activities and the testing activities. So anybody would like to start? Well, if not, I have a few questions. So the first, I would like to ask how you organize variety testing with different stakeholders and general public. So I saw that you had tasting sessions. What is the system that you normally use for this?
I'm not sure if I understand you right, Agnes. We make a lot. We have visitors at the orchards to show our trials. We make speeches. Or what was that the question? How we get the information?
No, the question outside? Yes. So how do you collect information or feedback from the customers and consumers? So I saw that you had these tasting sessions organized with just everyday people. So do you have a setup system to facilitate that?
No, we normally make this and then we publish it in the news in the German how do you call it, in the Obstbau or somewhere. We put it in the papers. We don't make extra. We especially in Karlsruhe, we have no list of the things we testing. We just make it by the trials and we give it to the people who needs. But if you call me and you have a special question to one variety, I can give you the information. But I have no papers to send you. I'm sorry of that. But Franz Roos has a lot of things to make it public. And also I have some colleagues in Rheinland-Pfalz in Oppenheim. So if you need something written, we can make it from them.
Mm-hmm. And the second question I have is if you collaborate with universities in your breeding activities, and which universities are involved with you?
Yeah, the universities we are involved is from Weinstefan in Munich, because they had also the plum breeding, but this is now made from the private breeder, Michael Neumüller, and we work together with Hohenheim. Also Geisenheim and Osnabrück have the variety testing, and we are all in Germany working together with several Arbeitskreise, I can't, where we come together once in a year, and we have the trials which are made in different trial stations about Germany, about in 10 stations, and then we put all our results together and yeah, try to find out the best.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, anybody else would like to raise a question?
Yes, François again.
Go ahead.
I would like to know if some assessments are done under organic farming orchards, or most of the time it's conventional ones, because you can have more pest and disease and more information on the behavior of the cultivars in organic orchards.
Yeah. See, right, what I show you from Karlsruhe, it's regional, it's integrated production, because we also have the trials with the plant protection and that don't work together. But in Heuchlingen, they have a bigger orchard. They have about 40 hectares, and I guess about 10 hectares is only organic production. And they made a big plum trial on organic with new varieties, and that I guess that seems to be real interesting in about 2 years.
Okay.
Some of the cherry varieties, what I favored in testing, I have now an organic producer near Heilbronn. He made that UFO system and make it covered about 2 hectares, and we will see here how that functions. He covered it all against the Suzuki.